songs, let me tell you about a friend. It's Craig LeBlanc, where the good times never end. Talking Parks and Rec, it's a show you gotta know. Welcome one and all to the Daily Parks and Rec Show. It's the Daily Parks and Rec Show.
And the nice thing is the variety. I think what sets Parks and Rec alone from any other industry is the variety. No day is ever the same.
Mm-hmm.
Different every day, different every season. And as we say, if you can't pivot, you shouldn't be in Parks and Rec. I think that excites them because they don't want to be locked in a cubicle. They don't want to be like staring at a computer screen, even though people don't realize Parks and Rec has a lot of computer work. But at the same time, they want to be out. They want to be doing fun things. They want to see the smiles on people's faces. One of our best tagline here, and this is something that we always is Parks and Rec, where fun begins and memories last forever.
All right, we are live again with a much anticipated guest. Welcome to the Daily Parks and Rec Show Leadership Series. Shout out to Molly Keys, who mentioned her uncle that got her involved in all this. She blames you for everything that with Parks and Rec. But welcome to the show, Greg. How are you doing?
Thank you, Greg. I'm doing great. It's been a cold day. I'm in New Hampshire. It was 0 degrees this morning.
Oh,
so yeah, it's kind of cold out there for my parks guys. So they're doing inside projects, but everything's good.
Yeah, I walked in my little yoga class early this morning in shorts here in New Orleans. I know that could not be done where you're at.
Definitely not.
That's all right. But before we get started, I did want to give a special shout out to Outdoor Link. If you've ever heard of smart homes and how now your homes can just pretty much be connected to the internet, and you can have lights and AC and, garage doors pop open. Well, now Outdoor Link offers that same functionality to create smart cities or smart parks so that you can connect your splash pads or your field lights or your bathroom doors if you want them to lock after a certain hour, or pretty much anything that runs off of electricity. You can switch it on and off with your iPhone or an iPad, and really, you're not having to get out of bed at midnight when a volunteer coach left the lights on and grandma's complaining about it, and you're having to send a guy with a truck to turn the disconnect off. You can just literally hit it on your iPhone, or better yet, put it on a schedule and let the robots manage it. So really cool company. I've worked with them personally before long ago, and they are still killing it. So really great sponsor. They've been with us since the beginning. So really appreciate it. Shout out to Dave and Tasha and TJ who kind of run that company. And then after that, we'll play a little short promo, how other vendors, which we've got quite a growing list of vendors that want to help us to build this. And it is a heavy lift when you're trying to build a 24/7 network of just media all about Parks and Rec. So appreciate all the help I can get. Jovi, if you want to hit those 2 promo spots, and then we'll come back and start our conversation with Greg.
In today's parks and recreation industry, communication, safety, and efficiency go hand in hand. That's where Outdoor Link comes in, delivering smart technology that empowers city departments and community planners to do more, smarter. Outdoor Link's platform connects and automates everything that keeps your parks running smoothly, from lighting and locks to signage, water features, Wi-Fi, and digital advertising. Control and schedule park lights for safety and energy savings. Remotely manage facility access. Update digital displays in real time. Coordinate fountains and splash pads, provide public connectivity, and even run community or sponsorship campaigns on digital screens, all from one simple, unified platform, giving you real-time control, data, and cost efficiency. For parks and recreation agencies, that means safer spaces, smarter resource use, faster responses, and stronger community engagement. And behind every great park story is great infrastructure. That's why Outdoor Link proudly supports DPRS Media Company, helping the Daily Parks and Rec Show amplify the voices of professionals shaping our communities every day. Outdoor Link, smart, connected solutions for parks, recreation, and beyond.
Are you a vendor, brand, or service provider ready to connect with the heartbeat of local communities? At DPRS Media Co., we tell the stories shaping parks and recreation across America. Through podcasts, live streams, videos, and newsletters, we reach frontline leaders, city directors, and decision makers every single week. From youth sports and facilities to programming and policy, our audience is your audience. Sponsoring or partnering with DPRS Media Co. puts your brand in front of the professionals who build, budget, and buy for their communities. Launching a new product, growing your presence in public spaces, targeting cities, counties, or departments, DPRS is your trusted media partner. Whether you're in software, turf, aquatics, robotics, smart cities, or special events, partnering with DPRS puts your brand in the story. With commercials, interviews, social campaigns, newsletters, and live shows, we're your media team. Partner with us and grow your impact in the $200 billion parks and rec industry. DPRS Media Co. Stories that move parks and rec forward. Your audience is here. Let's meet them.
I was thinking a little bit about Outdoor Link when I was watching their promo. I went and visited their business up in Huntsville, Alabama, and they are such a finely tuned machine. I wish I could have ran my business back then as well as theirs. They've got all-American team. They've got a service department, in-house engineers, and I was kind of jealous. Second generation business is just so clean and well organized. But all right, Greg, so let's talk a little bit about how you got Molly involved in this. What was her exposure to you growing up?
She's my oldest niece.
Okay.
I've been in Parks and Rec as long as she's almost been born.
No way.
Yeah, I kind of stumbled into it, and I was very lucky to find a career I became passionate in. I come from a time where I was a sports management major, and Jerry Maguire was the big hit. And everyone in the sports management industry wanted to become a sports agent.
Yeah.
Craig, it is very difficult to even get your foot in the door of those agencies, let alone get a sniff. Right. So I pivoted. Obviously, I had an opportunity. One of my mentors, Brent Diesel, the longtime director, saw an opportunity come open for a brand new Parks and Rec agency. Never been born. It was literally a small town north of where I grew up in Rochester, New Hampshire. And he's like, "You'd be awesome for this." Obviously, he didn't tell me there was no budget really and low paying. So I applied. I actually got the job, and from then I just started running with it. And so Molly she's been great. She was heavily involved in the YMCA and youth development early on, to the point where she could have walked out of high school and got a rec coordinator's job. She's talented. And Molly just kept going, and Springfield College treated her well, and she got her master's in recreation, and now she's a bigwig down in Connecticut. So I mean, I can't say I totally rubbed off on her, but she definitely took a cue from what she saw I was doing. She was obviously involved in the YMCA after graduation too, and got into municipality work. But I mean, you can't talk about a stronger work ethic. That girl has been working since she could, and with the desire to move out and move up, and she still has that desire, and she's a leader that a lot of young professionals really should be looking to.
Absolutely, 100%. And when you see her, she's like this little bitty unassuming girl, and then she opens her mouth, and this just wisdom comes out, and I'm like, how in the world did you get here so fast? And
She's much older than what she shows. So she has the wise old elf, I call her, inside of her. So
yeah, she absolutely does. And then she was last year's president of YPN, did a great job with that. That's how she actually introduced me to it. I had never even heard of YPN until her.
And she actually, in the state of Connecticut, they didn't even have a YPN, and under her guidance, I guess, or pushing, I guess you want to say,
drive,
she got that started, which is an outstanding opportunity for her to get the young professionals. Because Craig, we are seeing a vast turnover in professionalism. I was just at a conference last week, and I looked around, been in the field for 26 years, and I'm like, I am finally the old guy in the room. And at 51, I'm like, wow, when did that happen?
Yep, yep. I just turned 50 a few days ago, and I'm like, there's no way it's been 50 years. Like, I feel, and you hang around these young people and you just feel like you're one of them. And then they tell you how old they are, and they're like, oh my gosh. Or I'll make these references to movies they've never heard of. Um,
Or they say when they graduate high school, and you're like, oh, yeah, yeah.
yeah,
I've been in the field for so long after that. So
yeah,
it does, but it makes me feel young,
yeah,
especially where I think I make an impact on some of the young professionals
yeah.
where they seek me out. It's interesting where in New Hampshire, being one of the senior people in the state of New Hampshire, they'll come calling me. I had a director in another state who just got the job. Everyone's like, you got to go speak to Greg. And so suddenly I'm like the godfather, which I don't
That's
know
it.
how that happened, but I take it as I'm complimenting, obviously, because I've been doing this for a long time.
Now, was there any, did you have a godfather anywhere in your tenure where you kind of looked up to them similar to how these guys are kind of looking to you?
Oh, I had several. The nice thing is it's the opportunities that I work for the town of Exeter, New Hampshire, the opportunities that Exeter has provided me. Uh, Brent Diesel, who I mentioned earlier, was one of the big influences. Grew up
Mhm.
all the rec programs. Uh, Applied several times to be his assistant and never got it, which well,
Yeah.
that's a whole nother story. But he was the guy. Like you could walk up to him no matter what age you were. He knew your name, knew where you lived, knew your.
That's crazy.
That's old school recreation, and that's where something we always strive through in Exeter here. But then, like as I ventured down my career, I really became close to certain people. Like a shout out to Bob Barcelona, which you should have. He's the chair of the Recreation Management and Policy,
What's his name? Let me type that down while we got it.
Clemson University.
Bob, how you spell his last name?
Barcelona, like as in Spain. Bob and
Barcelona.
I became really close and friendly. He started at the University of New Hampshire. He left to go to Clemson. He came back to the University of New Hampshire. He went back to Clemson. So he keeps going back and forth between New England and the beautiful weather down in South Carolina. So
Mm,
I don't blame him for leaving these cold temperatures. Uh, then I was able to go to the National Recreation and Parks Association director school in Ogilvy, and anyone that had the opportunity to go to the old school Ogilvy director school. There's one guy, Tom O'Rourke, former executive director of Charleston County. He was another one I've looked up to. I mean, so but in New Hampshire, we have a long history of parks and recreation. Uh, just recently, last year or 2 years ago, I won what's called the Wink Tapley Award.
what is that?
Wink Tapley is for us like the creator of recreation in the state of New Hampshire. He's nationally known. He's in the NRPA Hall of Fame, uh, and we have records dating back 70 years ago. That here's this gentleman that said, parks and recreation is important, and this is how we build communities. And he built it up. He was one of our first state officials to really push community recreation,
Yeah.
and I mean he's left a lasting legacy. There's a community center in Bristol, New Hampshire, named after him, but it's a unique name because Wink, no one, everyone knows him as Wink. But he is one of those people that New Hampshire has a valued history. That conference I went to, for instance, he started that conference. And one of the things that it's 76 years of a Parks and Rec conference. You don't really hear that.
Wow. Yeah, that's huge. You know, I think it was yesterday or the day before, we had a gubernatorial candidate for New York reach out to us, and he's a big fan of Parks and Rec and wanted to come on the show. And I was like, okay, I don't know how this is going to go, and it went great. And I was blown away by how much he loves Parks and Rec, walks 5 miles a day, and it just went on and on about it. And I'm like, okay, we might have to start a weekly show just about these elected officials, because oftentimes the directors are like begging them for money and, making sure that we don't get shut down and stuff. And they're the ones that kind of roll through every 4 years. And sometimes it's a new person every 4 years. But I think maybe we can do something to help strengthen that connection between the elected officials and the appointed officials.
Yeah, you know, Craig, that's a balancing act really in any state or any community where you have those people turn over consistently. And
Mhm.
for us, it's as Parks and Rec, it's our job to educate them if they're not educated.
Yeah.
And that's one of the things I strive for, and I tell all my staff that it's up to us to explain why the importance of Parks and Recreation. We actually just right now have a job opening here in Exeter for a town manager.
Mm.
One of the things that starts it off is come to Exeter with a vibrant parks system.
Yeah.
So the officials here have bought in, the residents have bought in. Obviously, they support recreation, but not all municipalities have
Yeah.
that support. The state in most general is supportive, obviously, and then we go to the feds, where land, water, and conservation fund is a vital part of a lot of our smaller municipalities to get stateside
Mhm.
approval to help do projects. Like I just did a $750,000 playground last year. Half of it
Mm.
was paid for by the feds.
Wow. Wow. Have you seen our video that we created on why Parks and Rec should be considered an essential service?
I
It's
have not.
okay. I want to play it for you. And I played it for um the New York gubernatorial candidate. And he's like, I want that video. Like I want it. I want to play it, because it really highlights something that but a lot of people that are above Parks and Rec have no idea what goes on in Parks and Rec and why communities like hold dear their Parks and Rec services. So I'm gonna play that real quick. I'd love to get your feedback on it.
Sure.
When we talk about essential services, what comes to mind? Police, firefighters, healthcare. But there's another essential service, often overlooked, yet always present: parks and recreation. Parks and Rec is health. It's the walking trail that lowers blood pressure, the recreation center where seniors fight isolation, the swim lessons that prevent tragedy before it happens. This isn't a luxury, it's a lifeline. Parks and Rec is safety. A playground instead of a street corner, a basketball court instead of trouble, a summer camp where every child belongs. It's not just about activity, it's about protection, prevention, and possibility. Parks and Rec is community, the festival that brings neighbors together, the cultural event that teaches respect and diversity, the open space where a city breathes. It builds bridges where division once stood. It gives people a reason to gather, to connect, to care. And Parks and Rec is economics. It strengthens property values. It drives tourism through events and trails. It saves on healthcare costs. Every dollar invested multiplies, feeding back into schools, into safety, into growth. Essential service is not just about survival, it's about thriving. And Parks and Recreation is where thriving begins. In wellness, in equity, in culture, and in joy. Parks and Rec isn't extra, it's essential. For our health, for our safety, for our communities, for our future. A message from the Parks and Recreation community.
All right. What are your thoughts on that?
That's everything that we preach here in Exeter. But I mean, Craig, that's a commercial that every park and rec agency should be putting out there because honestly, it touches on so many different aspects. My first Parks and Rec job, one of the things I'm proud of starting was a summer camp. It's a poor community, never had a summer camp, and I applied for some grant funds for seed money. And the reason I put it was safety and crime. And they asked why. I'm like, well, you give a kid in rural New Hampshire the opportunity to go around on their own accord and do nothing all summer. What's going to happen?
Yeah.
Trouble.
Yeah.
And like reining them in. And so I started that first year. I got 14, 15 kids. By the time I left Milton, New Hampshire, I had 75, 80 kids, and the school system is not very big there. So people bought in quickly, realizing the resource that we had. But then fast forward to Exeter, and years ago, we did a strategic plan survey. And why did you move to Exeter? And quality of life was one of the things. And that's what Parks and Rec is. We are quality of life.
Hmm.
And people don't realize that, where, yeah, you take for granted police will come solve crimes, firefighters will put out the fires at your house and deal with accidents, where and public works, and especially in New Hampshire, will plow roads and fix roads. But Parks and Rec is what makes a community, which your commercial nailed it.
Yeah, yeah, and there's so much that goes into making a community. I mean, just like take special events and how these become like generational legacy events that are almost like mini family reunions for people, and they attend it every year. Maybe speak a little bit about how, what do you mean when you say community building?
For us, it's impactful. It's giving a place of welcomeness. So I mentioned the playground last year. We accomplished two large projects last year, which I think builds community. One, we completed an all accessible playground, and we wanted to focus on accessibility, not just those that have mobility challenges. We wanted those with visually impaired and everything. So we focused on the design, came up with a really unique design where we let the community really have buy-in when designing this park. I didn't pick any of the things that went in there, not
Mhm.
whatsoever. It was all community vote. And when it was open, we have a resident who her daughter is in a chair, and she worked with our Exeter TV to do a PSA. Like, she finally feels a sense of home now that we have done these things.
Wow.
And especially now, we just completed at the same time. Crazy! I'm doing a community service project and a big playground build at the same time. Uh, and we finished the community center project, and here we are, grand opening. We're like, if we get 15 to 20 people to show up for the ribbon cutting, will be great. We had over 200 people show up. A lot of our seniors, which are really impactful, and this is what we built for them. Because you mentioned in the commercial the sense of isolation. We know that, especially in the cold winters of New Hampshire, the
Mhm.
seniors don't like driving out there. We're fortunate enough, we have a vibrant community of seniors, and they come in, our programs with them sell out in a day and a half. They want that activity, they want that. So making sure that and I wish I could show you our senior lounge, as we call it. It's literally like your living room. We want them to feel comfortable and come sit, have a cup of coffee or tea with us, play some board games, maybe watch some TV. I don't care. I just want you to come and hang out with us. And
Yeah.
that's really the sense of community, is something for everyone, especially those that may not know they're enjoying Parks and Rec. We have the naysayers. We do. Everyone does. That says, "Oh, I don't use any of the Parks and Rec facilities," but you'll see them eating lunch in the park
Yep.
or taking a walk down a parkway along the water.
Yep.
So unbeknownst to them, they're actually all participating in Parks and Rec, and it's it's a great opportunity when you have a community like I have here in Exeter that really buys in and realizes that quality of life.
Oh, yeah, and I think we experienced that in COVID when a lot of park systems just got completely shut down. I know we were coming out with pitchforks saying, like, "Open the parks, please." And it's, how vital it was. It's kinda like you don't miss what was that old Otis Redding song? You don't, miss your water till it's gone or till your well runs dry or something like that. Um, and then even for those naysayers, it's most people don't realize that the entire tree canopy of a city is usually managed by the Parks and Rec department, planting them, trimming them, all on the public right of ways and stuff. That's all under the Parks and Rec department. It's not just like a playground or, an athletic field. They do so much more to keep the city looking beautiful.
Yeah, we have a different model here a little bit in Exeter, where our public works does the street trees, we do the park trees, but
Mhm.
we have enthusiastic residents that we became a Tree City USA, and not people like, what's that? It's just we're trying to increase the canopy for the urban compact areas to
Mhm.
increase that shade, because as the planet heats up, we want places to cool off, and especially as trees die. Obviously, Exeter is a very old colonial town. We have some 200-year-old trees, unfortunately, that are getting of age. And
Mhm.
so we're replacing them with several trees because obviously we can't replace a very robust oak tree with a robust oak tree. So
Right. Yeah, it takes a long time for them things to grow. If you want to see a city that has tripled down on oak trees, come to New Orleans. We've got some 400 and 500 year on every corner, and this city would be miserable without its trees. It's pretty much a shaded city. Um, I'd like to go back and I really haven't done a good enough job of covering what senior centers is and just senior care and all things regarded to that. And if you have any contacts that are doing a really good job with running a senior center, I would love to do like exclusive shows just on that singular topic because that's a huge chunk of what it means to provide value to your aging community. Can you speak a little bit about that?
well, yeah, when I became director several years ago, that's the one aspect I could never touch while I was assistant director here. So seniors are a population that compared to other states, like I'll take Massachusetts for example, they are very committed to what they call council on aging. I mean,
Mm,
they're all separate departments from the Parks and Rec department. They put a lot of money into it because obviously, as our states age, we need to come up with these resources. And for those that are watching, New Hampshire is one of the fastest aging states in the United States.
really?
We don't have an income tax. It's a very great place. Honestly, Craig, where I live, I'm an hour from Boston, an hour from Portland, Maine, an hour from the skiing, and 15 minutes to the beach.
Mm,
So you got a little bit of everything, and New Hampshire is very drivable. But we had a demographer that lived here in town. He wrote a great book, and if anyone wants to read it on New Hampshire culture, it's called Community and Consequences, talking about the aging population and how we, as practitioners, and it really goes into Parks and Rec and the quality of life, how we need to provide more to attract the younger families in so we can support our senior population, not the other way around where we got to do more for seniors. But so we tackled it head on when I became director. My former assistant, who is now the interim town manager here in town, we looked at it like, all right, how do we get this? We have so many organizations that are doing senior programming. We all can't be duplicating. So we formed a senior council. We're now an AARP age friendly community, but we focused on what it was missing. We have a building that is called the Senior Center per se in our community here, but it's a Meals on Wheels site. So
mm,
that's they're just serving meals. It's a distribution center for them. So we are like, there's no place for the seniors to go to. Yes, there's a YMCA in town where they can go work out, but there's no place like that feels like home or
mm,
has programming space. So to combat that, especially after COVID, we really focused. We were fortunate enough we purchased a property, but our goal isn't just to focus on seniors or it's a multi-generational community center
mm.
because statistics will show you when you mix youth and seniors together, they impact each other immensely to the point where it increases because a lot of these grandparents that have moved here, they might not have access to their grandkids.
Yeah.
So this is our opportunity to offer them that ability to interact with the youth. And for us, we have a plethora of 55 and over communities here in Exeter. They love to build those, and it wasn't under my tutelage that had them. They're waiving what we call a recreation impact fee. So in Exeter, for every housing unit built, we get Parks and Rec gets $1,004 to go towards recreation. But
Mm.
these 55 and over communities were coming in and said, "Well, we're building a clubhouse for them." Well, a clubhouse that has no one there except the residents,
Mhm.
and they are all retired. They don't want to do their own programming. They,
Yeah.
they want to retire. They want to enjoy the programming. So I got that to stop, and it's been a big thing. Our senior council here is very active. David Tovey, my assistant director, has been outstanding, really ushering in the new era of seniors. But it's imperative for us because if you look internationally, that's how they grew up. They all houses were all combined. You had grandparents with youth, and like we're trying to replicate that as a Parks and Rec agency. And I think that's an important aspect because we want them. They've earned the right for us to support them and give them great trips. Like, for instance, they're on a trip today. They went to a museum down in Boston. No seniors driving into Boston.
Yeah. Yeah.
Their driving days of in that heavy rush hour traffic are over. We'll provide that service for them. Or one of our biggest things is the food insecurities. People don't realize those seniors on fixed incomes are really struggling for food.
Mhm.
And what we started, thanks to the generous donation and grant from Exeter Hospital, is we started a monthly luncheon for our seniors. And we didn't know how many would show up. We sell out now 70 to 80, and me and my staff, we cook for them.
Mm.
That's bigger than just a family gathering. You're cooking for 70 to 80 people, so you want to make sure it's good. So, I mean, but you see, like, they come like, oh, the leftovers. We always have leftover containers for them to take home, and for them, they're always like, oh, thank you. That's my meal for tomorrow night and the next night.
What
And
dishes do they like the most?
well, we go all out in December, but I mean, we this month, I think next week, we're having a baked potato bar.
Nice.
Simple. It's not like we're going all out, and it's just local restaurant here in town bakes the potatoes for us that morning. We serve them up. Here it is. We added chili this year, but
Mm.
then we'll go all out. Like Thanksgiving, we don't do the traditional turkey and gravy. We do a turkey pot pie.
Mm.
Something that is very easy to put together the night before. We bake it, and they love it.
Yeah.
It's just a way for them, and they've met people. They've said that they've never got the opportunity because you have the low income seniors and you have the ones that are pretty well off, and they're all mingling together. And it's been a great partnership, I think, between us and all these different housing.
Yeah, I definitely need to make more content on the whole senior centers, senior care, caring for your aging community inside of Parks and Rec. I probably need to do some exclusive episodes on that. So if you know anybody that speaks well on that you've seen speak at some of the conventions,
Oh, Bryn Sullivan, who's the assistant director in Portsmouth, New Hampshire. I'm gonna throw it out. I'm gonna give her a challenge to go on your show because she was the queen of seniors before she got promoted to assistant director. They have a beautiful senior center that's an old armory that they renovated in Portsmouth, and they do it right in Portsmouth. They treat just like we do here in Exeter.
Yeah.
They treat their seniors very well, and she really built it up to. She knows a lot of senior stuff and would be great. She's spoken at NRPA and at different conferences, so I
that'd
would
be
definitely be happy
fantastic.
to pass that along.
Okay. Well, Eunice is our communications director. She's in that LinkedIn group chat with us. And so she may be hitting you up for Bob and Tom and anyone else that you think. We would love to, just create good content around that, especially for the seniors, because I think not enough is said about what's done for them in our communities. Man, we just blew past the 30-minute mark. Let me go ahead and promote a couple of our other shows that we're putting together. So very talented female professional athlete, former professional athlete, Jordan Zift. We helped produce her show called The Athlete's Commute. She played at the highest level in soccer for Brazil, which they take soccer to a whole nother level. And shout out to all those cities that are preparing to be taken over by the World Cup this year. That is a huge deal. Like, I didn't realize how big of a deal that is. But Jordan now is in San Diego, and she will imagine if you could take your favorite pro athlete while they're still a professional athlete, go pick them up and drive them to their next game or their next practice and just interview them on the car ride. That was her concept. And I'm like, please let me help you produce this for the Daily Parks and Rec show. And so she agreed, and we just love working with her. And she works with a company called Her Sports, which she's a co-founder of. And then thanks to Molly Keys, shout out, she started it all, the YPN show. We moved it to Thursdays. As it turns out, it's hard to get college kids and young people to show up on a Friday, which when our show originally started. And then it was the interns that suggested, can we move it to like Thursday at 5 p.m., not in the middle of when we're all partying on the weekend. So now the YPN show is on Thursdays, 5 p.m. Eastern. So, Jovi, why don't you play the promo for those two, and then we'll come back and finish up our conversation with Greg.
Before the game, before the lights, before the pressure, there's a moment most people never see. Welcome to The Athlete's Commute, a podcast distributed by DPRS Media Network, co-produced by Her Sports, and hosted by Jordan Ziff. Each episode, Jordan gets behind the wheel, driving athletes to practice, to training, to game day, while getting to know who they really are beyond the jersey. The mindset, the grind, the sacrifices, the moments no one talks about. No scripts, no filters, just real conversations in real motion. Because every athlete has a journey, and every journey deserves to be heard. This is the Athlete's Commute. Buckle up.
On the Daily Parks and Rec Show, we bring you the real stories of tomorrow's professionals. People shaping the future, one idea at a time. Meet the very first DPRS interns to officially host their own segment, Aidan Tierney and Michael Morrow. With curiosity, passion, and a fresh perspective, they're stepping into the spotlight to lead meaningful conversations with today's rising leaders. The Young Professionals Network takes you inside the journeys, challenges, and major wins of young individuals making their mark across industries. From first jobs to bold ventures, every story fuels growth, ambition, and innovation. Each episode brings real conversations, fresh perspectives, and impactful insights created to motivate the next generation of professionals. Whether you're just starting out, exploring new paths, or figuring out your next move. Tune in to the Young Professionals Network every Thursday at 5 p.m. only on the Daily Parks and Rec Show. Don't miss it, because your next big idea might be one story away.
All right, so maybe we can take a chance to talk about what are we doing as an industry? What can we do, maybe that we're not doing, to help bring the young professionals or the next generation and kind of cultivate and plant those seeds to kind of take, at some point, guys like you are going to hang their hat up.
Hopefully not too soon.
Right. You got a few good years left.
Yeah, I have a 7-year-old at home, so
Oh, nice.
I'm still in the thick of it. So
you're really
I
a
got to stay
30-year-old.
active for another 15 years before I can retire.
Kids will keep you young, I can tell you that.
Oh, absolutely. Or make you sore, one of the two. I'm
That's
trying to figure out which one.
Yeah. So what are we doing? Or is New Hampshire doing anything? Have you seen anything, or do you have an internship program, or what are your suggestions to try to help, make sure that we're
Shout out to the
bringing
University of New Hampshire. They have a phenomenal internship program where, I mean, I've been in Exeter. I've been here now almost 23 years. I've had interns from almost day one. I've been lucky enough. Ironically, one of my first interns has a daughter that is friends with my oldest daughter. That was a harsh reality when I'm like, wow, here's someone that's not that much younger than me, but obviously, but it's connected. New Hampshire, the interesting thing is there's not a lot to do, but as I mentioned at the conference last week, we have a great young core of young professionals, and I think it's providing them the professional development, and that's something I think I take strive on, and so is the University of New Hampshire's what we could offer for professional development. Because obviously, yes, I'm not going to be here forever. I even joke with my assistant director, who was an intern for me at one point. I'm like, you're ready to take over this department now, but I'm standing in your way. So, but it's, I always say, I compare New Hampshire Parks and Rec to a virtual office building. Well, the nice thing is, because we're such a small state, we know everyone. Unfortunately, I know a lot more people than just in the state of New Hampshire. I know Mass, Vermont, Connecticut, you name it. I know probably a professional in that state. And to have that resource that we can pick up the phone. And I harken back to when I first got into the industry. Again, never worked in Parks and Rec before, got my first job. And a gentleman that just recently passed away, Jim Hilton, I called it. Everyone said, "Oh, you got to go see these people to give them insight on how to run a Parks and Rec department." And Jim is legendary. I mean, he holds Guinness Book of World Records. I mean, he's an outstanding. And I called him up and like, Jim, can I come over and just talk Parks and Rec? He's like, sure. Came over during his lunch. He literally split a sandwich in half. He's like, here, let's just talk. And he was a mentor that you could always like reach out to if you had an idea you want to bounce off of. And I think as us seasoned professionals, if we're not opening the door to our youth, our
Mm.
young professionals coming in, there's going to be a brain drain, and we want to make sure we're getting them. And with the University of New Hampshire really trying to push municipal recreation, which is good. Uh, just last week, though, at that conference, we had 10 UNH students all wanting to be municipal parks and rec agencies
Mm.
staff. So, uh, and it really comes down to a work-life balance for this generation. They don't. I always say, don't follow my lead. Do what is best for you,
Mhm.
because I'm one that unfortunately, when they created smartphones, that was the worst thing ever for my career because I'm never disconnected. I'm always working, and my wife and kids say it. They're like, "Hey, I'm here, Dad." So, uh, or I'm like, "Well, what do you?" They ask, "What are you doing?" I'm like, "Oh, I'm answering a work email on a Saturday night at 8 o'clock." Uh, and really providing those opportunities for them because obviously we don't want to burn them out. We want them to thrive. So, and I tell my interns that as well. I'm like, I'm only paying you for 40 hours. I don't expect you to work over 40 hours.
Mm.
Show up on time. And the nice thing is the variety. I think what sets Parks and Rec alone from any other industry is the variety. No day is ever the same.
Mhm.
Different every day, different every season. And as we say, if you can't pivot, you shouldn't be in Parks and Rec.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, you're pivoting 10 times before lunch.
Yeah, exactly. So I think that excites them because they don't want to be locked in a cubicle. They
Mhm.
don't want to be like staring at a computer screen, even though people don't realize Parks and Rec has a lot of computer work. But at the same time, they want to be out. They want to be doing fun things. They want to see the smiles on people's faces. One of our best tagline here, and this is something that we always is Parks and Rec, where fun begins and memories last forever.
Mm.
Like
Yeah.
that's what we're here. And I always told when I ran summer camp to my camp counselors, if a camper does not remember your name at the end of the camp or doesn't remember you, you failed. And I'm like, and I always joke and shout out to my buddy Julio up in Gorham, Maine. I'm like, he told me this. He goes, I want my staff to make kids cry. And
Yeah.
I'm like, what are you talking about? He goes, at the end of summer, I want tears flowing down their face when summer camp is over.
Yeah.
And sure
Wow.
enough, I've experienced that enough where, and I think these young professionals are into that. They want to see that instant gratification.
Yeah. Yeah,
And
and it's something that when you're in love with something that the hard work just flows out of you. You don't even see it as work. And I've seen, just like Molly, you see these younger people that just I don't want to say effortlessly because it is taxing on them, but it's something that when you're in love with something, the burden just seems lighter and you're willing to just give so much more because it's fulfilling to you. Maybe you can speak about so imagine you're sitting in front of a group of college kids that are undecided. They don't know what they're going to do with their life. And you had to pitch Parks and Recreation as a career path. What would be your message to them?
I'm one's like, you want to enjoy, really have fun at work?
Mm,
No, we do not play with just kids or seniors, but have fun and camaraderie. Like it's hard to really explain. Like I always pitch as, do you want to be bored out of your mind? Come to Parks and Rec. We'll make sure you're not bored.
yeah.
So for us, and then it's always challenging them. I always tell my staff, and I've always followed this, is like push the boundaries, push the boundaries. Think smart, work like don't work hard. I think in previous to like when you and I talked first, Craig, it was like it's always been a challenge for me. I started a rec department from scratch.
Mhm.
Then I moved to Exeter, and then it's like, all right, as we've all experienced, like there's a funding resource that is drying up. So come up with alternative funding. So what do, I start a beer and chili festival. All right, well, we're struggling for parks maintenance. What do? I implement robots into our park system. Always challenging my staff and myself, like, how can we do this more efficiently and have fun at it? And I think one of the things that I think has really been impactful here is my staff has bought into it. They really want to make sure it's the best product we can and do things that really impact the community.
Yeah, I wanted you to speak a little bit more about that because this is just something that's taking the planet by storm, but definitely Parks and Recreation is just robotics and all this technology that's coming in, allowing y'all to be so much more efficient with your money and manpower and stuff. So how have y'all started to incorporate robotics into your park system?
I am now up to 11 robots.
Yeah.
In my, I call them my staff. It was a great session. New England Parks Association, shout out to them. They ran a beautiful conference down on Cape Cod a few summers ago, and it was an impactful vendor was there talking about, like, this is what we're doing. And I really thought of it, and like, for years I have two guys that manage 56 acres, and I know for some of the bigger agencies are like 56 acres, two guys should be able to handle it, but a lot of them are athletic fields where you're on there multiple times a day. And for us, we looked at it as like, how can we free up those two guys to do more than just mow? I didn't want them to be glorified mowers. I have a very talented staff. So I pitched it to the select board. Now I pitched it in a way where I turned parks on its head and I made parks a revenue source by buying multiple robots at the same time. So we have the mowing robots from Husqvarna that does a great job on mowing our athletic fields. I mean, it saved our staff 14 hours a week.
Wow.
Just for two guys, 14 hours a week. That's like, so all they have to go in, they go once a week, they trim, and they're done. The field is perfectly 2.5 inches every day. So any of the sports teams going out there, it's the same. They're never complaining, like, and especially in New Hampshire, where it gets very soggy in the spring, like, oh, the grass was so long. Well, that's not a problem now because I can put these robots on there before the grass even gets firm. It can start mowing. So that saved us big time. And then we took our painting robot and we charge out to the different organizations that needed painting lines. And I produced enough revenue to pay for the robot. So there's zero tax impact to the community. But they all love it. I get pictures all the time. We had a naming contest for all the mowing robots. A lot of them were Star Wars themed, which
I was
is
about to ask, what are some of the names that they'll assign them?
Obi-Wan Kenobi, but like Cut Nobi. It was
Perfect.
Some of them were really, really bad, and they named it after they tried to name it after public officials, which were like, no, I'm not gonna get in trouble with our public officials. Our painting robot came with a name. She's Meryl Stripe, so as we call her.
I
So
love it.
that one was a big saver. And then the new community center we just opened. As we were going into the new community center, the town officials like, all right, well, you can generate revenue. You're gonna have to pay for janitorial on your own. So like for us, like I'll come in and I'll vacuum and I'll mop, but robotics. So we have one that vacuums and mops.
Yeah.
Our largest like space.
Really?
Yeah, and it's the water comes out dirty every time, and it's our karate instructor absolutely loves it now because the old facility we were in was like grimy and old from the 1970s. But we're looking at it more where if we, in the day and age where health benefits and pay are driving the budgets to go up, what better off is to add more robotics where my two guys can maintain more robots that go out and mow every day.
Yeah.
And as we build our fleet, I eventually want to have like several parks with them in because the technology is ever changing. So if anyone out there is not looking at robotics as a solution, they're already behind because I did a whole cost analysis, and it actually is cheaper per acre to maintain with robotics. And no, robotics will not replace a human being because you need humans to maintain them. And we all have park maintenance stuff that needs to get done
Yeah.
besides mowing.
Yeah.
So it's just going to become your department's going to become more efficient. It's going to really kind of benefit your athletic and your users to really that it's a high quality cut.
Yeah.
And as we go further on down, I always look at Denmark. Denmark, which is a little less than the size of Maine, has 30,000 mowing robots in it.
No way. That's a great stat. I didn't
Yeah.
realize it. So that has to be the
So I
highest
mean,
population of robots probably on Earth.
yeah, but they have it right. Like you go to any park or any municipality in Denmark, there's no one mowing. It's all robotics.
Yeah.
So I think the US should catch up with it and allow, because I think all agencies would benefit from robotics in it. And when I started it, we got some pushback, obviously. Uh, it was in the newspaper, and then it was ironically after our egg hunt the year I got approval, and it was in the newspaper. The local ABC affiliate somehow tracks me down on my wife's cell phone and calls like, "Hey, we just read the article in the newspaper. We want to do a news story on it." And sure enough, they did the news story. It was on the 6 o'clock news. And then I get my phone is blowing up from friends all up and down the East Coast. They're like, "Hey, I saw your little thing on WMUR or ABC, I should say, on robotics in Exeter." And so, yeah, and now it's blown up. There's quite a few different agencies in New Hampshire that has gone on to get robots into their fleet.
Yeah, and I think the humanoid robots are coming as well. I don't know if anybody's following what's going on in Austin, but Elon's got like $1 trillion pay package to deliver 1 million robots in 2027, and I think his price point's around 25,000 by the time he hits scale there. And so I think it's just a matter of time before they're going to be everywhere. But Parks and Rec has so much work to do interfacing human to human that it's just going to expand the scope and the scale of what Parks and Rec can offer, because they're just like you're highlighting, there are just huge efficiency gains to be had through using robotic fleets to do what y'all do.
Yeah, and I mean, it goes. I always my town manager, former town manager, challenged us during COVID. He played a. If anyone wants to go on YouTube, Boston Dynamics, it has the dancing robots. That was controlled by someone in an algorithm. Fast forward to now, that same company, it's learning with AI on its own. So, not to say it's going to be a Terminator type thing. I'll be back, but it is scary, Craig. Where we will have a robot for everything in the next 10 to 15 years.
Oh yeah. Yeah, and actually they spent a ton of money on engineering just the hand, and they think that by the time they get full production, that thing will be able to do the work of a heart surgeon and have the dexterity there. And so it's I think mankind's just going to have to kind of retool and find a new purpose and meaning. And I think Parks and Rec is going to thrive in that environment because it's where people come to be human, on your property. And you're kind of running that whole industry.
But not only efficiency, it does come back to safety. There's so many safety mechanisms in these robots.
Mm,
And you're not putting someone on a large mower that vibrates and you got workers' comp claims, or you put them on a pitched and now they roll it or they get hurt. That's going to go away. We're going to use all robots to do all of it, and it's going to
yeah.
be safer. And that person is still going to have a job because they're going to have to maintain the robot and clean up and pick up trash. And really, it's going to make the place a better place.
Oh yeah. Yeah. And I think it's coming. I say coming, it's already here. And departments like yourself are kind of embracing it. And I think you're getting left behind if not. And you do have somewhat of a fiduciary responsibility to be as efficient as possible as you deliver these services. And maybe we can talk about that, because we had spoken about creative finance, and I think that's a great topic that you can speak on. So how do you define creative finance in Parks and Rec?
For us, our financial sustainability is important, but obviously your commercial just said it. We are an essential service,
Yeah.
but when reality, especially in the state of New Hampshire, comes down where money, the property taxes, the burden of things fall on property taxes. We don't have an income tax. We don't have a sales tax. It's live free or die, man. I mean, and so
Yeah.
it falls on, and so it's up to us to be creative. Like I mentioned, it was years ago. It's now going into this 14th year. It was the first time we'd ever hit a recession. Like, how are you going to pay for this? Like, and so it was right when the craft beer industry started, and I'm like, you know what? Like, I think we could make a lot of money if we did a beer festival, and
Mm.
getting the public officials to buy into that. Now, Craig, if I look back on it now, it's probably, if I calculated, raised probably $700,000 in revenue over the last 14 years. That's a big chunk of change that has helped offset cost. But then we always look at being resourceful of like, how can we generate revenue where people don't think to
Yeah.
generate revenue? Like in our new community center, we are fortunate enough, a lot of our furniture was donated, like the credenza behind me, by
Mm.
a bank that was closing. So we went and just moved stuff. They
Yeah.
were just going to throw it away. And this stuff is brand new. Like the table I'm sitting at was in the president's office. Like
Yeah.
this is a beautiful mahogany table I have in my office. Like I wouldn't buy this as a government employee, but I'll take it for free. But then we got these display panels, and I'm like, I'm already going through my head. How can I flip that not only to promote our programs, but then sell advertisements
Mm.
in our own community center if we're attracting people in? And for us, it's always been like that. Like, how can we generate more revenue? We started different sponsorships. So, we're very frugal in what we do for our programming, because, and I'll say this, and Tom probably might not remember this, but Tom at the director school challenged us. He goes, "We don't in Parks and Rec need to make money. We should be providing services."
Hmm. Right.
And when push comes to shove, if that means I need to go out and find alternative funding to pay for said thing,
Yeah.
I'm going to do it,
Yeah.
because that's an important part of our mission, is to provide healthy programming.
Yeah.
And healthy programming is affordable programming. And I don't want to ever balance our budget on the backs of kids playing soccer. That's not like, we're market rate, if anything, and we never turn anyone away. Everyone has financial aid opportunities, and for us, let's go bigger and better and try to lessen the burden on the community.
Yeah. And Parks and Rec is really not a nonprofit, but really when you're looking for funds, businesses look at it as kind of like they look at a nonprofit, because you're still providing um, quality of life for the community, and they get a tax write-off. And so you're almost out there raising money like you would for a nonprofit. You kind of have that same impact on your community. And so maybe talk about some of the other ways that you've involved, sponsorships, or like with the bank, or what are kind of some of those other creative partnerships that you found?
Well, the nice thing is, our summer camp is 100% self-sustained. So all of our programs are, no taxpayer dollars goes into it except for me and my 3 staff members. And for us, it was always sad before I became director that we never had scholarship for our summer camp.
Mm.
Former directors like, no, just, we can't afford to take a hit. So it's almost like the old school politician. You kiss babies and shake hands. And
Yeah.
so I started going to every civic organization, because all the civic organizations like to give to Parks and Rec, no matter what they say.
Yeah.
So went to Rotary, Lions Club, the Masons, you name it. I'm going to go to them, and I got them to buy in and partnering with us to provide these scholarships. And that last year, I gave away $28,000 worth of scholarships just for summer
Wow.
camp.
That's
So,
fantastic.
I mean, it goes back to that sense of community, Craig. Like,
Mhm.
these are civic organizations within your own community, which do a tremendous job of giving back. Well, why couldn't we be the focal point of them giving back and helping distribute their funds? And the women's club here in town is absolutely doing gangbusters. Last year when in the middle of that playground build, we looked at the design. We're like, we need one more element, and this is what we cut out of the budget. And that one more element ended up being like we needed to raise another $41,000. It took only 3 weeks, and we raised $41,000 to buy said element, and now everyone's bought in, and they're always looking at us as like, I got calls all at the end of the year last year. What do you need so we can put it in our budget? So again, those partnerships I think are vital in helping, because obviously we're not going out raising the money, but if they can raise the money, that's the most important part. And then just residents, like everyone has a giving tree around the holidays. We have a giving tree. So you can come in here and pluck it like, oh, I want to give a kid a gift of T-ball. In total last year in financial aid, with the generosity of these different organizations, we probably, counting summer camp, probably gave away about $40,000 to $50,000 in programs.
That's amazing. That's amazing. Well, man, Greg, thank you so much for coming on the show today. I'm going to have to get you back on the show because it's been such a great episode. We'll check in with you maybe in about 6 months and we'll do this again. But really appreciate all that you've done for the in general Parks and Rec community. And thank you for sharing your story with us. And again, shout out to Molly Keys. Thank you for planting that seed there. She is off to the race. And you can look at, you kind of have Parks and Rec grandchildren through her because she is onboarding an army of young professionals through all the work that she's done.
Thank you for having me on. I'd love to be on. I'd love to connect you with more New Hampshire and New England people in general, because we have a vast network of people up here that I think we have a tough road up here because we don't have a lot of the tax incentives that other people out west or down south or Midwest have. So we're frugal Yankees up here. So
yeah. Well, and that's what we need, more of those stories out there. And we will definitely take you up on helping to connect us with other future guests, because there really are so many great stories out there and so many chunks of wisdom that we want to share with the whole country, not just keeping it in New Hampshire. We want to spread that wisdom out throughout the country. So I really appreciate that offer.
Oh, well, thank you. And look forward to our next chat.
Yeah. Good having you on the show today, Greg. Thanks a lot.
Thanks.
All right. Bye-bye. All right. Wow. That was another great one. I can't believe Molly told me about him on episode 75, and here we are in 404, finally getting Greg on the show. 403. All right. So we got a lot of great stuff coming up this year. We will be attending the Illinois State Conference. It's the largest Parks and Rec state conference in America. It's just a beast. And we will be there all 3 days. I think we depart next weekend or something like that. I think it's in 2 weeks. It's right at the end of January. And so we will trying to do about 30 live shows from the convention, interviewing attendees, people that are putting on the show, speakers and stuff. And thank you to Amelia. They're a great software company that is sponsoring our entire trip and paying for our hotel rooms. And it's really a pleasure to work with them and help them kind of get the word out about what Parks and Rec does. So shout out to everybody over there at Amelia. That's all I have for y'all today. Again, thank you so much, Greg, for coming on the show and sharing what Parks and Rec does in New Hampshire. Hopefully we can get a lot more great future guests from the state of New Hampshire to come on the show and share all this wisdom that they have bottled up over there. We're going to spread it out throughout the whole country. So really appreciate that. All right. That's all I have for y'all today. Thank y'all for all the love and support. Thank y'all for getting us past the 2025 year. Looking forward to a great 2026 and getting maybe to I think we're aspirationally going to hit 1,000 recorded episodes, or we'll hit the 1,000 episode mark in 2026 at the pace that we're going. And big shout out to all of the hosts that are now helping me to host different shows about different parts of Parks and Recreation. We've got a very talented group of hosts that are hosting weekly and monthly and even daily shows with me. Could not do it without them. Could definitely not do it without the Parks and Rec community supporting the work that we're trying to do here. So love you guys. I will see y'all here again tomorrow. Jovi, if you want to hit the last 3, you'll have a great day. Thanks. Bye.
They say it's just rec. Just rec where kids learn to try again. Just Rec, where confidence begins. Where teamwork, effort, and fun matter more than trophies. It's not about perfection. It's about participation. It's not just Rec. It's where kids learn to love the game and themselves. It's just Rec until they learn teamwork for life. It's just Rec, but it's everything to them. It's more than Rec. It's a movement. It's just Rec until you realize it's shaping the next generation. Together, we're not just running programs, we're building a culture of confidence, connection, and community. Join us.
JDP Services Management Consulting, supporting parks and recreation and the essential service they provide. Communities benefit greatly from having dedicated advocates who champion the value of play in open spaces. Such advocacy ensures that recreational areas are prioritized and managed in ways that enhance the overall quality of life for everyone. We are dedicated to fortifying public park and recreation agencies and other related organizations by taking a practical, engaged approach to consulting and training, addressing immediate needs while equipping clients with lasting insight and tools to strengthen their organizations for long-term success. JDP Services, Management Consulting, meeting needs and exceeding expectations.
Welcome to DPRS Media Co., the first media company built for the people behind the Parks and Rec community. We don't just cover on Parks and Rec, we elevate it, we amplify it, we honor it. At the heart of everything we do is one mission: to serve the public servants, the professionals who design, maintain, and lead the parks that shape our communities. Under the daily Parks and Rec show, we produce 6 powerful platforms. Leadership in Parks and Rec, a spotlight on directors, superintendents, and visionaries shaping the future of public spaces. Facility maintenance, where the boots hit the ground, a deep dive into the systems, crews, and craftsmanship that keep our parks clean, safe, and beautiful. Young Professionals Network, shining a light on the next generation of Parks and Rec. Students, interns, and mentors sharing how we build a legacy together. Youth Sports Mastery, sponsored by National Academy of Athletics. This series is for coaches, parents, and rec leaders working to make youth sports fun, fair, and meaningful again. The Rec Room, hosted by the passionate leaders of Henry County Parks and Rec. This show brings frontline energy and real-life stories from the field. And the weekly Parks and Rec Post, our official newsletter delivering stories, insights, and community wins every week. We are DPRS Media Co., LLC, a media company with a mission to uplift the professionals who serve every community, every park, every day.